What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who's that Pokemon?
Savage. And we're back. One Piece 1105 is out, and with it comes a more pointed look at what the next faction coming to Egghead could be. We spent all of 2023 going around the world and seeing and catching up with all of these different factions, but who is actually coming to Egghead? And that's what we're going to spend today talking about. I've got some Dark Horse wild card picks that I think everybody's going to find really fun, and especially the reasoning why they could actually show up. And even if they don't, the whole point is to have fun thinking about it. Friends of the channel looking for reactions, they are going to permanently stay on the second channel for the time being. The algorithm was not liking the reactions and the videos and the streams coming out on the main channel. So dusting off the second channel, that's where the reactions are going to live. Anyway, let's get into these factions coming to Egghead. But first, like, comment, subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. As expected, 1105 was very much a setup geography chapter. This is what I was saying I had hoped this chapter would be, because we can't move forward and we can't theorize if we don't know where everybody is. I need the pieces on the board to put the puzzle together. And the funny thing is that the most interesting thing about the chapter to me is the last panel, implying that other people are going to come. So, and that's what this video is really going to be about. I'm not going to talk about where everybody is and all of that, because it's not necessarily going to play into this part yet, but it is really good. There was a lot of really great dramatic stuff here, especially sitting on Vegapunk in this chapter. I'm really happy that Oda isn't shying away from that. But the thing that he has been shying away from is explaining what happened to Robin. Like, I still don't know who she fought. What did she do? Why did you cut away? Oda, it took you 16 years to even give her another fight after Yama and Skypiea, and then her next fight afterwards, you off-screened, and she's bedridden right now? Come on, man. I need that flashback. What did she do? Who did she fight? What happened? Anyway, let's get into these factions, right? My top choice is, and always has been from the beginning of this arc, been the Revolutionary Army. I would love if they are the group that comes to Egghead. There are so many thematic reasons why they should be the faction, but there is a gigantic geographical hurdle, which is why I'm not so sure it is them, but I still want it to be them. The last time we saw them, they're in Kamabaka, which is in the Grand Line. It's not even in the New World. So for all of the Revolutionary Army to get here even in a day seems impossible when it took, I think, 2 weeks to get from Zou to Whole Cake. So to get from one side of the Grand Line to the other, unless the Revolutionary Army and Dragon have some sort of crazy mode of travel that is even faster than Kuma's teleportation, it doesn't seem likely. But if Kuma were to sacrifice himself in this arc, it feels really resonant to have Dragon, Sabo, Ivankov there for that sacrifice. And I think that it would be great if Bonnie could leave with the Revolutionary Army at the end of this arc and kind of carry on Ginny's will. I know a lot of people are team Bonnie for Straw Hat now, and yeah, there's an element to that that, you know, works for me, but I think she just fits better in the Revolutionary Army. Dragon has been teased since the very beginning of this arc, and even in 1085, we got the implication from Cobra that Luffy, Vivi, and Sabo need to be in a scene at some point in this story. We are basically promised that. And it does seem implied that Morgans is on his way with Vivi and Wapol because he doesn't want to miss the scoop on the next Ohara. So if the Revolution Army is coming to Egghead and Vivi, Morgans, and Wapol are coming, we can get that scene. It's a Dark Horse pick, but are they talking about Vivi, Morgans, and Wapol? I mean, we saw this man get attacked by Cypherpole, right? So they're out for Morgans, and he took a Cypherpole agent out, so I don't think that we should be sleeping on Morgans. But would he necessarily do this? I don't know. That's one of the more funnier picks. I mean, did Wapol eat a cannon and then he blew up the ship? That'd be crazy. We get a Wapol bounty poster, Morgan's bounty poster. He's starting to spread across the world his own bounty poster. That's unlikely. They're still going to come to Egghead, I believe, but I don't think that they did this. But it wouldn't be far-fetched to get an update on Big News, Vivi, and Wapol in Chapter 1106, because it will release not only on Vivi's birthday, but the issue anniversary of when we found out that all three of them were together last year. The Occam's Razor and the group that I think everybody's going to be talking about over the next week, probably the Blackbeard Pirates. Now, granted, I don't think that it's them that did this. Yes, we did see them, but it seemed like that was a day ago, and they were already within eyesight of Egghead. So where is their ship now? The only way that this makes sense to me is if this is them leaving Egghead after they've already gotten what they wanted, and then they're just destroying a Marine ship for the hell of it. I don't think that they're altruistic and they're trying to help these people escape Egghead. And I also don't think that they're going to ping pong and go to Egghead, destroy this ship, come back to Egghead. I do believe that they came to Egghead for Devil Fruit technology. Blackbeard wanted the Mero Mero no Mi, Hancock's fruit, and Vegapunk has the technology to recreate it. So I think that that's what Lafitte and Devon went to Egghead for in the first place. Maybe they did leave, maybe they're still there, but I don't think that they blew this ship up. One of the weirdest choices that would no doubt bring a lot of hype and like, wait, what's going on, would be if this is Shanks. I mean, there's no real basis in foreshadowing for this. This is basically like the, oh, that's weird, but I'm on board pick. Does this have anything to do with Shanks talking to the Gorosei? I need to talk to you about a certain pirate. Is this the follow-through of that? Does this have anything to do with Figureland? Does this have anything to do with Bonnie's real lineage, or her real parents? Is she a relative of Shanks now, and he's getting involved because of that? I'm here to talk about a certain pirate. Was he talking about Bonnie? We still don't know who he was talking about. It's insanely wild. I don't know about that one. But it's a choice. But considering that Shanks was just at Elbaf, geographically it makes sense he should be, in theory, close. A lot of people believe that it could be the Grand Fleet, which is not something that initially jumped into my mind, and I still think that it's probably the weakest choice of all, just because at the end, it seems implied that the Marines are very fearful of whoever did this, and I don't think that the Grand Fleet has achieved enough notoriety to garner that reaction. I feel like this needs to be, someone Emperor level or close, someone with a, really high bounty. And even though the Grand Fleet, obviously is under Luffy, I don't think that it's like if Shanks was at the head of the Egghead incident and then Ribatini destroyed a ship, I don't think everybody would be like, we gotta let Saturn know that they're on their way. No, that's not the case here. Mio in the chat also reminded me, and this was something that we talked about recently, what if Marco is on his way to Egghead? Meaning that he's on his way with Buckingham Stussy, the original. And that is really interesting to me because that leads us into Impel Down 2.0. Now that's the version where they don't do Impel Down 2.0. They come to Egghead first, they get a little bit of a download, and then Impel Down 2.0 is kind of a mission that they have to set on after that. Now, if we tag team this, say the Grand Fleet does come, and then at the end of Egghead, Luffy, based on a conversation with Marco and Buckingham Stussy, says to the Grand Fleet, you guys go, we're going to Elbaf because we have things that we have to do there, go and help Marco, get these guys out of Impel Down, especially if they find out that somebody else has been imprisoned there. Like, hypothetically, what if Law got caught? And Law is now in Impel Down. So Luffy puts it into the hands of his Grand Fleet to go and handle something that he doesn't have to be involved in. And then the big event that actually garners the notoriety that the Grand Fleet deserves is that they stage the Impel Down breakout with Marco, and then they break out Law and Doflamingo and a bunch of the Doflamingo family and Mr. Two, etc. Now that's fun, and if that's the case, I would only accept the Grand Fleet if it is paired with Marco. If we find out that this was Marco specifically in 1106, that would be exactly 1 year from the conversation between Marco and Bakin at Sphinx. We're getting down to the wire here, we're at the final picks, and just know that the last one is most certainly my favorite, but is definitely the biggest wildcard dark horse here. The next two, though, are going to be factions that are probably upset, maybe even a little pissed, with Vegapunk about cloning them. The Kuja Pirates. Could Hancock be on her way? This is how Oda wants to reintroduce Hancock into the story and have her travel with Luffy. Maybe. She takes out these Marines because they were in her way? Perhaps. But not my favorite. It's the Cross Guild. Now, I love this one, even though I'm not entirely sure that it would be them, but man, do I have some great reasoning. The last time that we saw the Cross Guild, we actually learned that Seraphim Crocodile, Seraphim Doflamingo, and Seraphim Moria were on their way to Empty Bluffs to take them out. Now, whether they actually beat the Seraphim or just got away doesn't necessarily matter. In chapter 1082, Oda spent panel time showing us that the Cross Guild had a ship. Why would he show us this ship if we're never going to see it on the water? And what a great reveal it would be if, when we learn who took out these Marines, we just see this giant, goofy clown ship and then cut to Crocodile and Mihawk, once again complaining that they're on that ship. On their way to Egghead to have a word with Vegapunk. And considering in 1058 we did see Crocodile taking down warships on his own, and we also saw it in Impel Down. We've seen Mihawk cut ships in half, and he was known as the Marine Hunter, so that's kind of fun too. And then they get caught up in and mixed up in everything that's going on with the Buster Call. Anything to get more Buggy, Mihawk, and Crocodile into the story is always going to be something that I'm all about. But the top choice, and the wildest card here. There is next to no foreshadowing for this, but man, does it make sense. It's Katakuri and the Big Mom Pirates. Especially if Blackbeard is still within the vicinity of Egghead. And if it is actually him at Egghead, that is, one of the caveats here. But would he think that they have Pudding with them? Because this is something that really needs to be addressed and hasn't. We got it through the cover story, sure, but we haven't seen anybody from the Big Mom Pirates reacting to the fact that Pudding has been kidnapped. And we were told during the Whole Cake Island arc that Big Mom had the greatest intelligence network out of all of the emperors, so they have to know what's going on. They have to know that Blackbeard was at Winter Island and had a fight with Law. They may not know that Law got away. They may also think that Blackbeard has Law. And if Big Mom is alive, which I have been suspecting ever since the end of Wano, and we got that little bitty panel learning that the Big Mom Pirates got away, and reading into it, it just sort of implied that maybe they had rescued Big Mom somehow, right?
Somehow Palpatine returned.
But we don't necessarily need Big Mom here. I like it whether it's Big Mom or whether it's only Katakuri. Big Mama Chanter, the Big Mom Pirates, and even Katakuri himself, I buy that they could have this level of destructive force against this ship as well. Probably add a couple of other, Big Mom Pirates in there. I'd love Mont Dor. He's one of my favorite of Big Mom's kids. Daifuku in there, something like that. Maybe Smoothie finally does something. I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath. But how weird would it be if we see the Big Mom Pirates on Egghead getting involved in this Buster Call because they're trying to track down Blackbeard to get Pudding back, or grill Luffy for information about Law because they think that Law may have killed their mom, whether we learn that Big Mom is definitively dead or not. That is, a caveat for that. But either way, the biggest looming thing for those kids is that Pudding has been kidnapped, and that needs to be addressed. And if there are any Blackbeard crew members here, I feel like they would still want to find out information from them as to where their sister is. And if it is only a situation where it's just Lafitte and Devon or something, and Blackbeard isn't there and Pudding isn't there, the princess is in another castle, and it takes them to Elbaf, all the better, because we can go to Elbaf next and we can wrap up all of Big Mom's plot and story and everything that happened with the giants and Loki, and, you know, maybe Lola's involved as well, and we get this really massive pirate battle royale between all of the emperors and the Big Mom pirates and, you know, all of these other random characters, and something that's able to be called Ragnarok or the Final War. Either way, I think it would be so cool and so random, but also so fitting if it was Katakuri and the Big Mom Pirates. But I want to know what you guys think. And to recap my favorites, because I know I said that I didn't like a lot of them, the best one for the narrative is the Revolutionary Army. It just geographically doesn't make any sense. So the ones that geographically do make sense that I like are Katakuri and the Big Mom Pirates, like we just discussed, and Marco, actually. Of course, it would be fun to have the Cross Guild get involved, but as much as it pains me to say, I would rather save them for later. And Vivi, Wapol, and Morgans, I already expect them to show up, so I don't need to say that it's them here. And that's going to wrap things up, guys. Thank you so much, everybody that supports the channel. It is so appreciated, especially at this time. Thank you. I am very much looking forward to the next chapter. I do not think that Oda is going to tell us who this faction is next week. I think he's going to hold on to it, keep us guessing. It would be great if we got it, but I don't know if we're going to get it. I think we're going to probably double down on what's going on with Luffy first. And then just leave this hanging until kind of the last moment. But either way, thanks so much for hanging out. Like, comment, subscribe. Feeling the vibe.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.